Cherry is what I call a Monet movie. It's good from far, but it's far from good. And that's what this movie is for the Russo brothers. There's a lot to talk about. This movie is a hot mess. It's a watchable hot mess, but it is a hot mess. I almost, when I watched this about a week and a half ago, I texted you guys and I said two things. I said, like, number one, it's like, there's so much in this movie, number one. And number two, like, I can't wait to talk about it. Number two, like, don't watch this when you're having a bad day. This movie will not lift your spirits whatsoever. You know, this is a depressing movie that revolved Ciara Bravo, who is from I guess her claim to fame was Big Time Rush. I've never seen her before. But she's in this too, and they play a young couple, and it's basically about him being a war veteran, him having really no sort of direction in life, goes off to the army, winds up going through the grueling basic training, then circumstances happen, gets put through the ringer in the war, in the Iraq War. This is just after 9/11, goes home, then basically becomes addicted to opioids and eventually heroin, ropes his wife into it, and then winds up robbing banks to pay for his habit and the money he owes drug dealers. This is a 2.5-hour movie, too. It is miserable, utterly miserable in terms of just the content that it spews at you for those 2.5 hours. But there's a lot of issues I take with this movie. And I think the number one I take, just to start us off, you guys can go in any direction you want. I'll turn it over to you in a couple. The first issue I have, though, is how the Russo brothers, they dogpile styles and different things onto this movie. The first hour alone, they introduce these on-screen graphics that have like walls of text appearing in the world of the movie. There's fourth wall breaks that don't really make any sense. There's incessant, grueling narration that basically talks over what we're already watching and tells you what you're already seeing. There's weird canted angles that don't fit. There's absurd pop elements in the back, like how the bank, Citibank, is called Shitty Bank. There's so much weird stuff and weird style in this movie. They couldn't figure out how they wanted to tell this thing. And so it just comes off as like a hybrid of 6 different styles of movie. And there's also chapter breaks too, as if they couldn't help themselves. That's my biggest gripe with this movie is it's not even style over substance, because the narrative has plenty of substance. It's just a movie that doesn't know how to tell the story, number one. And number two, after a while goes the route of hillbilly elegy. And I'll get into that later. In the meantime, Dominic, your thoughts, then we'll probably take a quick intermission, get to Joe's thoughts.
Style and substance abuse is how I would characterize this, very much so, because it was pulling out so many tricks. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's going to be this kind of movie. All right, let's see what they got up their sleeve. I kind of seen it all before. It's been a while since we've seen kind of okay, we're doing this now. Oh, all right. I guess that was, this trick kind of came along like 90 minutes later. Okay, whatever. It was very inconsistent tonally, just like constantly trying to conflict with itself. Like, is this like dark humor? Is this overt humor? Because there's a lot of like, is this like just cynical? Because it's starting to come off like what many people feared Joker, right? The Joker movie was going to be where it's like just hyper cynical, society sucks, where it's like, yeah, like Tom Holland, like when he's in the army in the barracks with all the dude bros in the army, which I'm pretty sure that's actually how the army is. I don't know, but it's just like, oh yeah, everyone here was a freaking meathead and a dumbass. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, but like you're kind of going hard. Like, when do I learn to like you? I don't know. Like, am I supposed to feel sympathy here? Because this just sucks overall. One thing I would like to note is that there are a lot of supporting characters here who do not get any character arcs or anything whatsoever beyond like super one note, just use and abuse. I'm not counting Ciara Bravo's Emily, the wife, in on that, because she's kind of like a protagonist, right? It's kind of part and parcel with Tom Holland. It's obviously, by the way, the character's name is Cherry. I don't know if you knew that, Steve. According to Wikipedia, he has a name and it's Cherry.
He's called Cherry like once or twice in the movie.
I missed it.
I know that was his nick. I know that was his nickname because of the fact that he was like, it was like his first time going out or his first time seeing a murder in the army, and they called him because he popped this cherry.
Yeah,
but he's called that like once.
Yeah, I heard him. Like, that's not his name, is it? No, it's not. Anyway, it's irrelevant, much like a lot of other things in this movie. But yeah, like a lot of characters are tossed aside here. Like there was one character. It's like, yeah, this is Sergeant. Actually, I think literally whomever, right? This is Sergeant whomever.
It's Doctor whomever, and then Sergeant something. Like they gave him a nickname like that too. Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, some of these tricks don't even work. Going back to that for a second, where it's like, wait. A lot of this was happening before you started taking drugs and before you started like getting PTSD from the army. So it's like, why did you wait? No, you're supposed to show like a transformation over time. I don't know. Maybe it's a flashback.
Because it would make sense. It would make sense when he's on drugs because it's like, who cares what the name of the bank? Who cares the name of the doctor? Right. But it's done that well in advance, even when he's still sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like, but there's like one character who's like, oh yeah, that's the sergeant. He was one mean son of a bitch. Never, like 40 seconds, never shows up again. And it sounded like the narration was like, wow, this is going to be like a lifelong, mentor or some. No, he's just there, says a couple of swear words and F's off, his army buddy, Jimenez, right? He shows up for a little bit, dies, spoiler, but like, really, he's literally there for no other reason except to serve as like guilt, tragedy porn.
Yeah.
As just, he's the buddy in a porno film that just doesn't do like, he's there as a supporting character to make everyone else look more attractive. And then he leaves and then they do their thing. And it's used. He's just used. There are some characters like Pills and Coke, the kind of the drug dealer. I actually really like that character a lot. I thought it was kind of very different from a lot of other kind of drug dealer types or whatever. But
no, totally. Because like you think like drug dealer, you think of like some bummed out guy, exactly like Tom Holland's character. Actually having to be like a white boy who's like rich at home and everything. That was actually kind of like frat boyish. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is actually refreshing.
With money, but also like no experience. Except like very privileged, no experience under his helmet at all, and like he is actually one of the standouts but everyone else, it's like James Lightfoot. It's like his friend with the beanie. It's like this is a completely useless character, sadly enough, because this kid was trying to do something here. I can
Daniel R. Hill, I think, is the guy who played Black, that like drug kingpin. And I had to laugh because the couple scenes he's in, they cast him in this shadowy light with this guttural voice. He might as well have been Thanos for all I fucking care.
Oh my God. The minute he got in that car and like his voice boomed, I thought I was literally about to see that purple chin dude like just sitting there with the Infinity Gauntlet like, I need my stones.
You can't take the stones out of the brothers, I guess.
Was he wearing a mask or was it facial tattoos?
It's his tattoos, yeah.
What kind of dumbass bank robber, accomplice, drug dealer has facial tattoos? Well, I guess that's just crime. That's what stupid people are criminals. But it's like you would think you'd be low key about this, but whatever.
Low key like you fight Thor.
There you go. It's like this is not likable, and this is a roller coaster of tonal shifts in a not fun way. It's like, are you trying to be Hillbilly Elegy, or are you trying to be the Car movie by the guy who did Scott Pilgrim?
Baby Driver.
Yeah, Baby Driver. She's trying to be a Baby Driver or Scott Pilgrim, right? In a very dark way, which sounds cool, but it's like, no, the highs and the lows are in completely different continents, and they don't come together well at all.
Yeah.
And the pacing just keeps getting thrown off. The chapter breaks or whatever, but they certainly don't help. And it's just a very frustrating movie because there is a story here about the opioid epidemic. There is a tale to be told about the '08 crash, the '07 economic recession, and how tens of millions of people were screwed over by that. And, in combination with the opioid epidemic and the Iraq war, it's like, God, that whole decade was shit, dude, for so many people all across, racial boundaries and economic lines. But it's, it's either like when it was trying to be taken seriously, it didn't hit right, or when it was trying to be funny or try to be stylized, instead of being something clever or even like cynically clever, instead it just comes off as kind of disrespectful almost, because it's like you're bouncing all over the place. At least, overall, I'm sure in isolation some of these YouTube clips will do well, but overall when you sit down with the film, it just didn't feel right.
I'm not going to piggyback off of what you guys are saying, because I just completely agree with everything you guys are saying. It is my biggest issue with the film is the tonal shifts, everything Dom was saying, everything that Steve was saying when it comes to stylized parts in the movie. I like the idea of it, that as he's using drugs, the world is getting crazier around him, and like stuff is just being shown for what it is. Like, yeah, like Capitalist One instead of Capital One Bank. Like that's cool. Those are cool ideas. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't know how to implement them that well. I'll say something positive instead. And it's probably the best thing about this movie that I've seen everybody comment on, and I'm wondering if you guys feel the same. But again, just like The Devil All the Time, I think Tom Holland killed it in this movie, man. I thought he was really good. Like, if there was one thing that kept me going throughout the film, it was his performance. Just once again, I mean, like, he literally said in an interview for this movie, the reason why he's doing a lot more darker films like this is because he doesn't want to get typecast as Spider-Man. And after seeing these last two movies, it's like, okay, Hollywood, don't typecast him, because this kid's got really good chops, and I want to see him in better projects. I like Devil All the Time a lot, but I would love to see him in like better things than that too. And that's the one thing too. I look at this movie and it's just like, damn, man, this really could have been maybe an Oscar caliber performance for him, something to actually fuel him to get an Oscar. But the film overall, I don't think it's just worthy even to give him the best actor nom. Like, it's just like, as good as he was, it's like the film overall, I don't think can carry it that. But I think he does a tremendous job here. The scenes where he is tripping out on drugs, he nails it. I think he doesn't do that overacting that we saw in the early 2000s, late 90s when it comes to like people on heroin and like all the other stuff where they're like wigging out and everything. Like, just the facial reactions he has, just like the twitches he does, the little hand movements he does with his face, like when he's first doing ecstasy. I was just like, man, I'm not gonna name any names, but I've been to parties and I've seen people on this drug, and that is how they acted. So it's just like, wow, like he actually nailed that. Maybe he actually was on drugs during the filming. I don't know, but hey, whatever, committed to the role. But even the scenes where like he's breaking down and crying, he's suffering from PTSD and everything, it's great. He does a great job here. It's just, I want to see more roles from this kid like this movie, just in a better damn movie. A movie to give him a better story to get behind, and also just substance to add to his performance rather than distract from it.
Yeah, The Devil All the Time proved that he could act, and Cherry, I think, proves that he can elevate lackluster material.
Yeah.
Or at least lackluster directing. Because if there's a word I kept using in my review of this movie, which you can read on influxmagazine.com if you so desire, the word I kept using is over-directed. It feels like the Russo brothers couldn't keep their hands off of this thing, because the movie is a dense drama. It really is. It made me want to read Nico Walker's memoir, because I read even excerpts of it, and it reads really well.
Everybody I talked to that has read the book and watched this movie said the book is 100 times better.